Welcome, and thank you for tuning in to the Sunday services at Center for Spiritual Living, Denver. We are a loving and prospering community in the heart of Denver and online. We now conduct hybrid services at the historic Grant Avenue Community Center and Sacred Place, located at 216 South Grant Street, Denver, Colorado. All are welcomed here. A place, space, and face of love. We are a spiritual community practicing universal principles that enrich our lives. We are grateful that you have blessed us with your presence. While online, we'd love to know you're watching with us. Feel free to leave a comment and let everyone appreciate you. With everything going on, life can feel overwhelming. CSL Denver wants you to know we are here for you. Please know that our practitioners are available for personal prayer work. Our licensed spiritual practitioners' names and phone numbers are available on our website at csldenver.org. Or if you have a prayer request, feel free to email it to info@csldenver.org. For your convenience, you'll find clickable links in the description of this broadcast. Rev Elzia, along with all our guest speakers, practitioners, service coordinators, and musical inspirations, want you to know how truly grateful we are that you are with us today. Thank you for your continued support and participation in our services, workshops, and events, as well as providing financial contributions to our center. If you're interested in upcoming events and information, we send out weekly newsletters. Sign up by visiting www.csldenver.org. We deliver services in a hybrid format where we meet in person at 216 South Grant Street. We will also continue to live stream all services on Facebook and YouTube every Sunday. Find us on our respective channels as well as on New Thought Media Network. Again, thank you for your precious attention. Now prepare for engaging enlightenment.
There is a garden where dreams come true, a beautiful garden where God's grace blooms. There is a garden where everything grows, a beautiful garden where love is sown. And in this place of light and love, you can have anything that you're dreaming of. There is a garden where dreams come true, a beautiful garden. That garden is you. place of light and love. You can't have anything that you're dreaming of. There is a garden where dreams come true, a beautiful garden. That garden is you. Such a beautiful garden. That garden is you.
Good morning. I'm Tim Hancock, a practitioner here at Center for Spiritual Living Denver, and I welcome you to this morning's service. I invite you to please close your eyes for the invocation, knowing there is one power, one spirit, one presence, one divine universe. That divine universe is through and around each and every one of us. It is in the words today of my reading. It is in the words of Reverend Mark's talk. It is in the music, it's in the technology, and it's just in the universe, surrounding and enveloping each and every one of us. And as we move into today's service on this Memorial Day weekend, we just close our eyes and remember those in our hearts. So we move into this service knowing that all is whole, perfect, and complete. And so it is. And my reading this morning is from the May Science Mind magazine, an article written by Eugene Holden, a practitioner who is back east I think he lives in Pennsylvania, and is affiliated with a center, somebody said in Maryland, Baltimore, somewhere like that. So he writes and he talks really good, a lot better than I can. And the article talks about some things about light and darkness. See the light. Life is amazing. What seems like duality is really the activity of unity. For example, without silence, there is no sound. Because of darkness, we experience light. The seed needs the darkness of the soil to bring new life. Embrace the shadow. I am the light. We may experience times when we feel like we're walking through the valley of the shadow. Do not pitch a tent and stay there. Instead, use the experience as a reminder that you are the light of the world. Choose to shine. Each star in the sky is not some little twinkly thing. It is a cosmic creation with the same origin as us. Just as the nighttime sky reveals the brightness of the stars, life provides us with opportunities to let our brilliance shine. Today, choose to shine no matter what. And you are the star. All the world's a stage, wrote William Shakespeare. We are the stars in our own play. Your role is up to you. Choose to be the star in your life. Remember, you are also the writer, director, producer, and choreographer. And from our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes, illumination will come as we more and more realize our unity with the whole, and as we constantly endeavor to let the truth operate through ourselves. And at this time, I'd like to do a little exercise. Eugene had written some affirmations, and I'd like you to close your eyes if you choose to, and bring these affirmations into you today. I am the light of the divine. Even in my darkest hour, I choose to see the light within me. I embrace this thing called life with joy. I am the light of the world. I shine wisdom, peace, grace, and love on seeming darkness. I love shining my light wherever I go. I am the light of the divine. I am the light of the infinite presence of God. I choose to shine my light wherever I go. For this, I am grateful. I am the star in my life. All supporting actors in this thing called life are also stars. Together, our light reveals the perfection of life. And so it is. And now on to the music of Susan Clark.
Greetings once again, CSL Denverites. Susan Clark coming to you from beautiful downtown, rather windy San Diego Park, New Mexico. Seems like Mother Nature can't make up her mind whether she wants to stay in the winter or be in the spring. So come on, give me a little push to get into the springtime. I picked out a song by Gloria Estefan. So those of you of a certain age will remember Gloria Estefan. She was a very powerful performer. Kind of came of age, I think, during the 80s and 90s. This song of hers is called Coming Out of the Dark. Why be afraid if I'm not alone? Though life is never easy, the rest is unknown. Up to now for me it's been hands against stone. Spend each and every moment searching for what to believe. Coming out of the dark, I finally see the light now, and it's shining on me. See the light, see the light, see the light coming out of the dark. I know the love that saved me, you're sharing with me. Starting again is part of the plan, and I'll be so much stronger holding your hand. Step by step I'll make it through, I know I can. It may not make it easier, but I have felt you near all the way. Coming out of the dark, I finally see the light now, and it's shining on me. See the light, see the light, see the light coming out of the dark. I know the love that saved me, you're sharing with me forever and ever. I stand on the rock of your love forever, forever. Oh, can nobody stop me or watch me forever and ever. I stand on the rock of your love. Love is all it takes, no matter what we face. Coming out of the dark, I finally see the light now, and it's shining on me. See the light, see the light, see the light. I'm coming out of the dark. I know the love that saved me, you're sharing with me. See the light, see the light, see the light coming out of the taking all the lessons with me I learned. Now I see, coming out of the dark, coming out of the dark.
Yeah. Thank you, Susan, for that beautiful music. That was very inspirational and very timely for today's message. It's great to be with you again, and welcome to those of you here in the room, as well as those of you online watching live, and those who may be watching the recording in the future. I just want to bless you for being with us today, and hope that this is beneficial service for you. Today's topic is stepping into the light, as you've seen a few times on the screen this morning. But I do want to acknowledge something that Tim mentioned in his prayer, and that is that this is Memorial Day weekend. And this is a day in which we historically have given ourselves 3 days of setting the tone for the beginning of the summer in many of our minds, but it also has a deeper meaning for us. It's a reflection of the fact that so many people, so many of those beautiful expressions of the one incarnations were born onto this planet and gave their greatest gift that they could, their life, for this country so that we could have the freedoms that we have here. So I would invite you to just close your eyes for just a moment. And if you know somebody who has passed due to service in the military or in defense of this country and the defense of our individual freedoms, I just focus on that person for a moment and send them love. And if you don't know someone, just focus on that sense of that person who has said yes to service of this country and given that greatest gift, their lives, so that you and I can be here today talking about spiritual principles and living the greatest life and stepping into our own light. And we feel thankfulness for them. And so although this holiday, and you can open your eyes now, although this holiday is a reflection of the time that we move from now to the end of the summer, on the one hand, it's sort of a bookend for the summer months for us. It's also a time for us to reflect upon the fact that so many people have given their service and their lives to this country so that we can be sitting here, we can be living these great lives as well. Stepping into the light is today's topic. And if you watched any of the PR that was on Facebook and social media, you probably know where we're going today. Okay, there's a light that's inside us. There's a light shining on us, and we often deny them, and we step over into the darkness and away from the light because we don't want to claim our greatest truth. We have some gift that we're here to give on the planet, some great talent and ability, an expression that we feel an inner call to give, and then we sort of turn it off, feeling that we're not good enough, we're not worthy. You fill in your own blank on your own story for why you've limited that. And what we're asking us to do is to deny that old story and turn away from it and give yourself a new story that says, yes, I can step out into and be my highest self, be whatever it is that I was called to be here on this planet. And that's the message today. Now I could go home and just say, that's good, let's leave. But I want to go a little further with this today. And in fact, whenever any of these topics come up, I sort of like play with them and say, what is it I am called to really express in the discussion of this? The first thing I want to call attention to is that in the promotional work for this particular topic, there was a quote that was given that we have all heard it. We've all said it to other people. We have all mangled it. We've sometimes attributed it to Nelson Mandela, even though it was written by Marianne Williamson. And the quote goes like this: our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we were powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. You in here has heard this quote before. Most of us have. It's one that's a standard. In fact, I just got through teaching a year-long class called Advanced Consciousness Studies, which is the for those of you who are practitioners, is the new Prac 1 class. And was doing this for 12 beautiful souls around the world, a lot of them here in the US, all over the country. And it was interesting, this quote would be brought up by one of the students like almost every other class. No matter what the topic was we were on, it referenced back to this, because it is so crucial that we're here on this planet with a gift to give. And no matter what we're looking at in our lives, somehow or another, we bump up against a limit and we recognize it's our own light that we don't want to shine. It's our own power we don't want to give. And so that's the message today, is where are you limiting yourself in being the fullness of who you can be? Now, I got to say, when I get a topic like this, I like to sort of like throw it into the universe and say, what am I really supposed to talk about on this message? And allow intuition and the universe to bring me stuff. So this past week, my wife and I were out camping in the beautiful mountains here in Colorado, watching the sunset come down. And it was just a beautiful experience with our chocolate lab, Penny, who's running around the wild self that she is. And as always, when I'm going on camping trips, I usually bring a book with me to read. And lately, I've been into a lot of the roots of New Thought, philosophy, and so forth. And the book that I had brought with me was a book by a guy by the name of Neville Goddard. You may know Neville. Neville, he often goes by the one name. There's lots of audios and stuff from out online. And this book was called The Power of Awareness. So I'm sitting down at the campsite, and I'm starting with chapter 1. Let me just read you. At first, it goes with a Bible quote, which says, "All things, when they are admitted, are made manifest by the light. For everything that is made manifest is light." Everything that is made manifest is light. Wow, that's the first statement. So naturally, I'm talking about light, and I read this when I'm sitting around camping, and I think, well, we got to work that in somehow. Let me go on. But then Goddard talks about, or Neville, I'm just going to read to the first paragraph. The light, in quote, is consciousness. Think about that for a moment. Consciousness is one, manifesting in legions of forms or levels of consciousness. There is no one that is not all that is. For consciousness, though expressed in an infinite series of levels, is not divisional. He goes on from there in the paragraph, but I'm not going to read the whole thing in this moment. But he's got a lot packed in there. But I read that and I thought, okay, there's some message I'm supposed to bring today relative to that. So we come back from camping, we get cleaned up, we got to get over to the International School of Denver because my middle school granddaughter was graduating, class of 23. Here's the brochure from her. I'm so blessed. Amelie Blum, I love you. She was one of 2 students who got to do student presentations during their 70-something number of people who were graduating. Very proud of my granddaughter, obviously. But on the back of the program, and the reason I kept it and brought it today is a quote. Let me read it to you. "For there is always light, if only we're brave enough to see it, if only we're brave enough to be it." These lines were written by Amanda Gorman. Anybody know who Amanda Gorman is? See a couple of hands. She's the young lady who was the poet who spoke and read a poem at President Biden's inauguration back in 2021. And she wrote this beautiful poem that was, what was the title of the poem? It was called The Hill We Climb. The Hill We Climb. And she was the youngest inaugural poet to ever speak at one of our inaugurations. And these lines, "For there is always light, if only we're brave enough to see it, if only we're brave enough to be it," was the concluding lines of that poem. And you know, it's interesting that would present itself as well. And so as I reflected upon these things that are coming up about light, I thought, well, okay, what is it that I really want to talk about? I mean, we know it's about living in, our greatest power and facing our greatest fears. But the questions that came up for me is, so what is the light we're talking about? So what is the light? What is this thing called light? I mean, it seems like a self-evident conversation, self-evident topic. And then why does this light frighten us? And then how can we move more fully into the light? Okay. So what is this light? Well, this seems like a self-evident question in a way. We know what light is. I mean, it's like we look up at the sun, light's coming down at us. We look up at the light fixtures here, this candle burning on this altar. They're emitting something called light. We have the sensory apparatus, our eyes and our brains, which are receiving light waves, and we're transferring within our brains to some visual signal. So that's the light that we've often been thought about. So when we say the word light, typically that's the concept that we want that immediately gets put into our awareness. But what I want to invite you to think about is that's a very limited aspect of light. That's the aspect of light that relates to us on this physical plane, as physical material beings. Whenever I come and talk with you at CSL Denver, I always use this statement. You probably anticipated I would work it in some way, but we're spiritual beings having a human experience, that we live in two worlds simultaneously. We have one foot in a human world of material stuff, and we have one foot in the spiritual world that's beyond here. But lately, I've been sort of expanding on that 2 foot leaning back and forth kind of metaphor and talking about the fact that we are in we're actually in a sliding scale where we're both in material form at sort of the lowest level, if you could imagine it. And we are spiritual beings at our highest essence. And there are gradations in between. And we can slide up and down the scales. And so we know when we're in the physical world because we were knocking around and we're touching stuff and we're seeing things and we're having sensory experiences. But we're also going to slide up the scale. And we do this all the time. The very fact that you're listening to me, somewhere within you is a conscious awareness of my words, and you're processing those in your mind, your use of the mind. And so you have a mental realm within you as well. So right now you're experiencing the two realms simultaneously. But you also have within you an essence that's drawing you to something greater, that greatest expression of yourself, a greater understanding of the mystery of life that we're in. What is God? What happens after we die? All of these big questions of life that are driving us to come to places like spiritual centers are drawing us to the highest essence of our being, to this non-material realm. So we're on this, I want you to picture this. We're on a continuum from the material to the emotional, to the spiritual, to the mental, to the spiritual. We're on this, and we navigate along this continuum every day in our lives, moving along that continuum. And so when we talk about light from the sun, light from this altar's candle, our sensory processing of light, we're using that from the material, physical aspect of light. But light is also playing out in the mental realms, in our mental experience. Light is also playing out in the spiritual realms. So let me go back to Neville's quote for a minute, with that anchored in your awareness, that multi-dimensional aspect of light. And let's reread what he wrote at the beginning of this book. His words were, again, in that paragraph as he stalls to find the page. The light is consciousness. Well, it means something. No, it's not just in the physical, we're consciousness. Consciousness is one, manifesting in legions of forms. We're the legions of forms, folks. So it's those chairs, that door. We're in the legions of forms. Or levels of consciousness. As we move up this continuum into the mental realm and the spiritual realm, light is playing out there. There is no one that is not all that is, for consciousness, though expressed in an infinite series of levels, is not divisional. You get that? It's expressing along this continuum in different ways, but it's not divided. It's all one. Everything is one. And it's consciousness. It's consciousness. So that's what Neville says. But of course, I had to also look into the fact that, there is certain things we can look at. First words of the Bible, let there be light. Okay, so this is beginning with light. When we talk about the ultimate goal of a spiritual path, I do enlightenment. I am trying to find the light and express and be the light in my own self. Okay. And so it's embedded in what we talk about in the spiritual path. However, I was also called this week to look at our founder. We teach the philosophy of science of mind, which comes in with little flourishes of music at times. And sometimes Elzia comes in into the camera. And And he's going to keep talking in the midst of all the technological stuff going on. This is a test of my multi-skill, But in any case, since we are based on the teachings of Science of Mind and Ernest Holmes, I thought, what did Ernest say about this topic? And I want to mention just a couple of things. One is Ernest did write a lot about the light. And in fact, he wrote a really beautiful essay called Cosmic Light, which is available at the Science of Mind Archives website if you're a member, or you can purchase it. But it's also included in a book that's no longer in print. It's called Light. And it's a series of essays by different people, but one of the people is, of course, Ernest Holmes. And I want to read you just a brief section of what Ernest talks about in terms of cosmic light. This is light at that higher level, that higher scale of the sliding scale I was talking about. He's trying to get us to move beyond the limited aspect of light and see light in this larger vision. Here's what Holmes wrote. He said, the mystics, or those who were illumined, have all had an experience in common. They've all seen the cosmic light. That is why they said that they were illumined. They have all had much the same experience, whether it was Moses coming down from the mountain, whether it was Jesus after the resurrection, whether it was Saul on the return to Damascus, whether it was Plotinus, who, according to his pupils, had 7 distinct periods of illumination. Emerson, walking across the common at Concord, suddenly became conscious of this light. Whitman refers to it as that which struck its forked tongue into his being as he lay on the grass. Edward Carpenter, after leaving Whitman, walked across the bridge and looking up, thought all of New York City was alive, and there are recorded many lesser degrees of illumination. The mystics have all sensed this light, and we all do at times. That's key, because we all do at times. You have, I have, if we're open to it. Sometimes we deny it, we turn it off. In varying degrees, we do enter into this mystical sense, this illumination. I feel that if a spiritual mind treatment could be seen, and that's our form of prayer that we use here, if it could be seen, I feel that it would be seen as a pathway of light. All spiritually minded metaphysical practitioners, when they are treating, praying, knowing the truth, often experience a light about something, and that they are immersed in light. What Holmes is calling us in the rest of that essay, which you can find online again at the Science of Mind Archives, is he's calling us to develop that sense of that light at the higher mystical levels within our being. And so when we're stepping into the light, not only are we stepping into the fullness of ourself in this world of form, but we're stepping into a higher levels of light. I've been blessed lately to be working on another project. I've sort of, over the last year and a half or so, become sort of the informal historian for the archives, doing a lot of research work for them. I might have mentioned this the last time I was here, was that one project that's taken up a lot of my time is that we are currently working on a new Ernest Holmes book, which will be coming out in August. It's called Ernest Holmes at Asilomar. We are so far into the process of this book. I compiled the book and wrote the intro for the book, and we're now working through the process of the layout and of the book, and it's going to be in print and rolled out and for the first time in several years, the organization is going to Asilomar this August. So we have a conference there, and I'll be doing a presentation at Asilomar where we'll be rolling out this book and explaining its how it was generated and a lot of info about it and what Ernest Holmes' experiences were when he was at Asilomar in the 1950s. So I'm really excited about the project. And so I thought, well, if I'm going to bring a light and talk about light here today, I might want to share some of this stuff from this book that's coming out. So I went back and looked at some of this, and this is from the book that's not yet published, of some of Ernest Holmes' talks that he gave at Asilomar at their summer conferences in the 1950s to see what he might have said about light. So I wanted to read. These passages are a little long. I apologize, but I did shorten them a tad, but I just want to give you just a sense, because he was really, and this is in his later years of life, and was much more into mystical stuff than I think in his early years. This comes from his lecture of August 18th, 1956, where he wrote on the topic, Our Religious Science. He wrote, one of the first things I learned when very young, going out into the woods with a very great artist who happened to be a woman, that she wanted to paint trees. And when we would paint a tree, she'd go up to it and hug it and kiss it and talk to it. And I didn't think she was crazy. I was only about 10. I knew she knew something I didn't know, but I didn't think she was crazy. I knew she was communing through what I later discovered is an interior awareness with that which otherwise seems so static, so inanimate, so uncommunicative, and that there is such a reality to everything. Everything in this physical universe gives forth a light. All things give forth an inner light, emanations thin as air. Light clouds draped around the luminous form are in all things everywhere. That is as much as I can remember of this. I wrote about it a long time ago. This light is real. It's not a fantasy. It's not a psychic hallucination. There is a light that lighteth every man's path. We have sought to discover the avenues through which we approach this light and loose this imprisoned splendor. And later in the same talk, he adds this. Jesus was a cosmic man, disclosing universal truths in a language of relativity, which is the only language we humans have. Cosmic man, high on the scale, relativity down here in the physical world. Okay, that's what he's saying. Okay, that is one of the difficulties. We're four-dimensional beings living in a three-dimensional world, and the world in which we live has very little in it to describe that other thing, that light we all know. I know I have seen it many times, and you must have. It must be a common denominator. That light that lighteth every man's path is real. Wow. Beautiful words. Be sure to get the book when it comes out. Nice commercial, right? I worked it in. Anyways, the question, and what I want you to see, is that when we talk about stepping into the light, we can think about it in our human life in that I'm fearful to be seen. I have these fears that have come up. What are those fears? Well, you can plug in your own fears. I'll tell you quickly a story of one of mine. And one fear I had was when I was young, I did not like public speaking. And I was in college, and I had learned in high school to be invisible. Don't raise your hand, don't be seen. I'm not worthy of raising my hand or saying anything. And so I went to college, and I had been taught college is gonna be hard, you better work. I found college was real easy. I just sort of excelled through the classes, and I'm making, A's and a few B's. And getting on the dean's list every year, and this isn't bragging, it was like, it's just a good thing. And life was going on really well. But I realized I had a fear in me. I had a fear of getting up and talking. I couldn't raise my hand in classes. Classes had discussions, and I wouldn't join in. And finally I said, I got to overcome this fear. Something pushed me to overcome the fear. So I said, I'm going to take a speech class. And that's going to force me to stand in front of people and talk. So I took a speech class. And if any of you took speech classes, the general thing they're doing is teaching you how to present a presentation, an argument situation, so you can debate, etc. But my role in there wasn't that. My role was stand up in front of a group of people and not shake, not wave my papers like this, not have my knees buckling, not be sweating profusely, not get up, which was a choice. And so I conquered to a degree my fear and got up and talked in front of people. Only class in college ever got a C in because I didn't give a darn about the debate points and the formats of my talks. And, but I felt like I got an A in the class because I started myself to the road of getting up and talking. Now, the rest of my life then became sort of a cosmic joke because it kept presenting situations where I had to get up in front and talk. And as time went on, I got more and more comfortable with it. But I had a fear. This is the key point. I had a fear that said, I can't get up in front of a group and talk. And I peeled that layer of the onion, and I found another fear. And I peeled another layer of the onion, and I found another fear. And I'm continuing to find fears, folks. Continuing, even where I am today in my enlightened state, is that I continue to see aspects of this expression of Mark, who has things within him, that his stories he's told himself, that he continues to limit his greatness through that old tape he plays. And we all do it. We all do it. That's why our classes and the whole thing here is all about that. It's about breaking through those limits and finding your way to live your greatest life. So here's this light that's in us. It's around us. It exceeds us. And one of the things that's also this aspect of this light at the higher levels is it unites us. It brings us together in a sense of oneness. The people who have gone before and had these mystical, enlightened experiences, the one common denominator of everyone who has had enlightenment at some level is a sense of oneness and interconnectedness of everything. The fact that these expressions that appear separate, that I appear separate from you, you appear separate from me, are just stories we tell ourselves in this physical dimension. But as we lift ourselves to the higher dimensions, we recognize that's just a story we're going through for our own growth and experience in this dimension. And so as we move ourselves to higher levels and we realize the unity of all of this, and that the light that connects and binds us all, that can be scary. I mean, yeah, we think we're all separate and there's fears and doubts, but at least I know this. That's some sort of spooky unknown stuff. And the spooky unknown has a great fear to it as well. And so if it's calling you, but you're scared of that, stepping into that bigger light, maybe that's not why you're not meditating, you're not building your own spiritual muscle. Maybe it's why you're not consistently working towards a sense of oneness and enlightenment in your own life. Because if you're here spiritually and you're watching this video or you're here in the room, there's something in you calling to a spiritual life. And what is a spiritual life but trying to understand the mysteries of that stuff at higher dimensions? And taking what we've learned from that and employing it in our own lives here in this physical dimension. That's what it's about. That's the spiritual path. It's moving up into that light of oneness and then bringing that wisdom back and living a greater life here. So the question is, what is light? Yeah, it's the sun, it's the candle, it's the stuff that allows us to see, but it's also consciousness. It's also the oneness. It's also the ground of all being, of existence, is light. You are light. I am light. We live in light. And once we realize that at the higher levels and recognize our unity, we recognize that the good opinions of others are immaterial. We let go of our fears. We come back to this realm with a new understanding of oneness that allows us to set aside any limitations or cares, because we now realize this story is, and the stories we've told ourselves have served to limit us, but now the truth is going to set us free. It's going to free us in our lives to live the greatest and grandest expression. If you can taste that. So what's holding you back? Your fears. What do you need to do? Let go of your fears. Spiritual practices. Get to explore your old stories. Take classes. Get support. Do all the things that you can do to move towards understanding the unity of life and employing that in your own life and letting go of the limitations. I'm going to give you one more quote from Holmes before we close. This again is from this upcoming book, and he turns to the right page. This was from a class he also did at Asilomar. He did a 5-part class in 1957 on the topic of mysticism. And this comes from July 9th of 1957, and he said the following: "And let us know that deep within us, in the living well springs of our being, beyond the pairs of opposites, good and evil, mind and matter, as dualism, and beyond the limitation and fears, and beyond the faith, just beyond the doubt, and beyond the hope, and beyond the height of our earthly vision, that which is without dimension and deep within our own soul shines an eternal light, and in that light there is no darkness. That mystic light that envelops everything we contact, heals, blesses everything we touch, and brings life or death and joy for a song. Eternal Spirit, the oneness within us, blessed life and infinite peace. Everything that denies this, we deny. Everything that affirms this living presence, we announce in all the past, whatever we believe it may have been, and every negation is wiped out, and there is no past. Every expectation of the future is wiped out, other than the affirmation of the present, which says, behold, I make all things new. Infinite beauty, harmony, rhythm, where everything fits together in a form that beauty is in our own soul and the depth of our infinite peace, in which all motion takes place without moving and everything is effortless. we abide, and in that love that merges and flows through us as stream with stream to find a higher level by its own action, we surrender. Not to some abstract love of God which has no meaning, but to the warm, pulsating rhythm of the feet upon the pavement and the horse's hoofs and the roots of the grass and the song of the lark and the wild power and surging strength of the waves, the freshness of the wind and the dew and the rain in our face and the warm embrace of each other that we all know about it. And if back of that there is more love, we welcome that by whose eternity and whose immensity we have even an equal affinity with all that is and all that is delivered, and we accept the gift even as we give it back in joy to that high and lofty one who does inhabit eternity and finds a dwelling place in our own heart and soul. He is all. Holmes there, in such eloquent, elevated speech, is calling us to recognize that behind everything is this vast oneness of light that's embedded in us and unites us and calls us not only to the beauty and glory of this human experience we're moving through, but to be the greatest and highest visions of ourselves in this. So I invite you today to step into the light. Step into the light not only in this physical realm, but in your spiritual realm and mental realms as well. To see and know the light that is in you and allow that light and the unity that comes with it to shine through in all that you do. Let's pray. We know the oneness. That oneness that shines as light is in us. It is in everyone here and everyone online and everyone on this planet. It is in the planet and it is in everything. There is just a vast oneness. We know this truth. We know that as we express our divine qualities and our divine essence and our uniqueness as this divine oneness, we're called to step into our light by touching the light of oneness, by raising our eyes away from the world of form and up to the world of spirit, seeing the oneness within spirit and how that light unites us and then flows through us at this individual expression as you and as I. And as we feel that light flowing through us, we come back into this world of form and live it with new eyes, no longer fearful of the opinions of others, because we know that we have a gift to give this planet, and we give it without concern. We know that it is a gift that is serving our greatest growth. It is a gift that allows spirit to experience that gift through us. We know that life is good, life is love, life is light. And so it is. Amen.
And so it is. Thank you so much, Reverend Mark, for your talk today. I hope everyone has found the light switch and able to click that switch on so that your light will illuminate the world. It is now that time of sacred giving, and we are so grateful and thankful for all of you who are here for the first time and for those who are continuing members for this sacred time of giving. Thank you for your time, treasure, and talent that you offer here at CSL Denver as we continue to support spiritual growth and the community at large. And so if you look across, if you're online, the banner that's running across the bottom of the screen that gives the many different ways you can support the community, either through going through our website, hitting the donate button, using the phone to text, or just send a check or money order to the P.O. box, which you'll find running across the screen again or on the website. But however you give, we thank you. And we love you for your continued support. And if it feels comfortable for you, if you put your hand on your heart and read the affirmation that's running across the bottom of the screen, this perfect gift is fluid in form, circulating and blessing all that it touches. Freely I give and joyously I receive, and so it is, amen. And so it is, amen. And so I think Reverend Alice is going to come and give us some announcements. And once again, we want to definitely hold in high honor all of our military servicemen and women who have given the ultimate sacrifice of their life for us to have an opportunity to be here today and to share ideas and to uplift everyone who is in need of anything, especially love. And so thank you for being here. And I said Alice, but it's actually going to be Tim. And here
I could be Alice. She's a nice person. I wouldn't mind it. All right. As we usually mention, if you like to hear some good news of the world to affirm the good in the world, we have a link on our Facebook page called And Now the Good News. And this program is put together by New Thought Media Network and airs on Friday at 5 p.m. Mountain Time. You can watch it any time during the week, however. Just go to Center for Spiritual Living Denver Facebook page and click on the post, on any post that says And Now the Good News. And New Thought Media Network has over 40 hours of weekly broadcast programs, including prayer time at 8:15 a.m. and p.m. every day, Wisdom of the Mystics, and Finding the Joy in the Journey, along with New Thought Radio, only to name a few. They also have recently added prayer time in Spanish, as well as 40 Days to Love in both Spanish and English. We invite you to go to www.ntmedia.org and check out what they have. There's something for everyone. We do have fellowship after service. We have coffee and tea and water and some cookies. Daniel, did you have a meet and greet set up for today?
Not today.
Okay. All right. So join us for that. There's also some literature over here. There's prayer requests. If you would like to fill out a prayer request, one of our practitioners will take it and pray on it for a week for you. There's current Science or Science of Mind magazines for June available at $4 a piece, which is $1 off the regular price, so, or 95 cents, but we'll round up. And as well as we have some other older Science of Mind magazines that you're welcome to go ahead and go through and take one or two. And as we move through the year and experience all that it holds, that the divine beloved is guiding and loving each and every one of us. We are happy that we are able to meet in person every Sunday as well online. So thanks for joining us. And thank you all for joining us here this morning. Now let us close out with Chris Chickering singing a prayer for who we really are, and then join us for fellowship afterwards. Thank you.
This is a prayer for the love within us. This is a prayer to release our hearts. This is a prayer that we carry with us. This is a prayer for who we really are. We are light, we are sunshine, we are what we believe. We are hope, we are promise of everything that's yet to be. We are bliss, we are laughter, we are flowers in the spring. We are life, ever flowing, and these are the words that we will sing. This is a prayer for the love within us. This is a prayer to release our hearts. This is a prayer that we carry with us. This is a prayer for who we really are. We are strong, we are fearless, we find the comfort in our souls. We are real, We are open to the destiny that's ours to hold. This is a prayer for the love within us. This is a prayer to release our hearts. This is a prayer that we carry with us. This is a prayer for who we really are. We are here, we are present in every moment that we breathe. We are peace, we are freedom, and this is a song for you and me. Yeah, this is a prayer for the love within us. This is a prayer to release our hearts. This is a prayer that we carry with us. This is a prayer for who we really. This is a prayer for the love within us. This is a prayer to release our hearts. This is a prayer that we carry with us. This is a prayer for who we really are. Who we really are. Who we really are.
New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.